Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I am chatting with Elizabeth and Adam from Extra Betty. So you might have seen their super fun reels that they do on Instagram. Elizabeth has had my attention from the very start. Her work is so good. She has some tutorials available that we chat about, and then really sparked my interest when I saw her husband leave his full-time job to work in the business with her. So I invited them on to chat about what it's like working with your spouse, and I wasn't disappointed. This is such a fun interview. I am so excited to have these two as new friends and new resources. They're just coming up with really amazing ideas and making those ideas available to us in the form of tutorials. So it was such a pleasure, and let's jump right into this interview with Extra Betty. All right, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you, Extra Betty, and you have a special guest, your husband, Adam, who is also part of Team Extra Betty. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, talk about your business a little bit, and then we're going to talk about working together as a team.
Yeah, so we are now Extra Betty, which is funny to say. When we first started and he was just kind of popping in and helping me when I needed it, didn't someone make a joke and say, "Are you Mr. Betty?"
Right.
Yes, but
I like to say, no, I'm Ugly Betty.
Okay, so we are Extra Betty. We are definitely a pandemic born business. I have a full-time job advertising, touring theatrical productions. So obviously, like March 13th, when everything shut down, literally, boom, there were no shows. And we were all like laid off the week after that. And I mean, luckily, like he was a teacher, Adam was in teaching from home. So taking care of the kids wasn't a problem and like getting by wasn't a problem, but I was just obviously bored. And I was used to having like these fun parties for my kids. Not like high end, I probably wouldn't hire myself for them, but I DIY'd a lot of stuff and just like took great pride in great themes and couldn't have people over for parties. And so I was like, how do I make these days special for my kids? We had like a niece that graduated high school during that time. And so I just like started searching on Pinterest. And my very first thing that I did was like a 2020 silver, foil letters from Amazon on like yardsticks in her yard. And I overinflated all of the balloons and it was windy and they popped all day from just the grass, like nothing. And it was horrible, but I realized this was fun because I made her feel special, even though she couldn't have like a graduation ceremony. So after that, I kept kind of dabbling and getting better. And then my dear sister-in-law, Adam's sister, posted it out of the blue on Facebook and said, "Look at what my sister-in-law made." And someone said, "Can I buy one?" And the rest is history. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
And
And
I was
remind me again where you're located.
we are just southeast of Cleveland. So
Okay.
we're, 20 minutes from Cleveland. So that's like our service area. We're kind of in the boonies-ish in a suburb. But yeah, that's where we're at. And
So you're like 2 years in to
yeah,
business? 3 years? 2 years?
yeah, about 2.5.
Okay.
And it's just been growing, growing, growing. And every time we look at each other, like, is this really happening? I guess we're just going to keep rolling with it. And I mean,
That's amazing.
it's,
So the big question, and I get this question all the time, and now I have a different answer, but for 6 years, I had a full-time job too. And I recently just left my job, but you are still at your job. Adam, you are no longer at your job.
Right.
Talk about that. What was that conversation? What type of growth were you looking at to feel comfortable leaving your job? Because I know for me, it was really scary.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead. Why don't you
Yeah, well, I've been worried that you were going to ask me this ever since I found out that we were doing this. So I've been really thinking about my answer for months now. and I really want to come across as likable. So the best answer I could give you is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with public education. All of my administrators were perfectly competent, and it was me. It was all me. And I was like, I have to leave. I'm no good at this after 16 years. So,
That's
uh,
hard. Okay, but really though, leaving a career like teaching after 16 years,
no, I still feel bad about it. I feel
it's
guilty.
part of your identity, right? Like it's a hard choice.
When we do jobs, we just did one at a school, and I walked in and was like, I like balloons isn't a real job. I should be teaching at this school, and I felt horrible. And
Yeah.
not only that, I also feel bad when I talk to my old colleagues. I still go to meetups with them on Fridays, and they're like, how's it going? And I'm like, my life's never been better. And I feel terrible.
No, you shouldn't. But
Yeah,
how did you like what type of business were you
sure.
seeing come in that you felt like it was time to take that step?
I think that the leap we took was a little bit a leap. Like
Yeah.
we did not wait until we saw like a year's worth of income that matched what we needed. I
Mhm.
was just kind of looking at the fact that our first year in business we did X amount, second year we doubled it. And then the third year every month was like consistently growing, maybe not double but 50% more, 50% more, and I was like I finally crunched the numbers and was like, okay, well, if we can at least just replace your paycheck, like let's
Right.
think bare bones, we replace your paycheck. Plus, I had to factor in, which I didn't right away, was that, teachers have the best health care
Right.
ever. So we went to paying like nothing to, I think it's like $850 a month right now that I pay. And that's with my company also covering part of it. So that's actually something I didn't think of. So for listeners, like remember that cost could change if you're relying on a partner for their health insurance.
Yes, but okay, my rebuttal to that is that that was my excuse for 5 years. I was like, "Oh, but the benefits. Oh, I can't leave because of the benefits." And then when I actually looked at them, I kind of had the opposite. Like I was like paying same as you. I was paying $800 a month out of my paycheck to insure my family. And when I talked to like an independent healthcare broker basically, he was like, "You don't have good benefits." Like for years, I just thought I did because I worked in education. He was like, "These aren't great. Like you can get health insurance for less than this just on your own." So for me, that was kind of my like, wait, what? Like I can actually do this? Like because I was a teacher and then I
Yeah.
worked at a college and you just kind of take your employer's insurance. It's just what you do. So I was scared and I think I kind of used that as an excuse for a very long time. Um, but yeah, I'm I'm glad with my decision as well.
Well, that's a really good tip. And also something that in another way that benefits kind of kept you teaching for a while is you were just like, how do I walk away from a retirement? How do I walk away from, and I was like, the more we got older, we would see like nothing is guaranteed. Like
Yes.
people pass away at our age, people are disabled at our age. The government could keep taking away the pension. Like
Right.
nothing is guaranteed, even teaching.
Right.
It's not. So once we
This is
realized,
so funny. I feel like this is so parallel to like what I've been going through leaving my job. Same thing. It's like I could be fired tomorrow. But like why is that? That feels like the safe bet for some reason because like everything's in someone else's hands and surely they must have everything figured out. And it's like, wait, that's not true. Like I'm much more secure working for myself because I can hustle if I need to. Like I can change things if I need to versus a job, even though it feels secure. It's like, what I feel like that was another excuse for me. It was just like, this isn't secure. I don't know what's going on. They could just go out of business tomorrow. I have no idea.
nothing is secure. Nothing. I mean,
Absolutely.
they could change public education tomorrow, pass some law, and you know what I mean? It's
It,
not like the days when you put in 25, 30 years and retired and
Right.
everything's great.
even before Extra Betty, I was just getting so
Oh,
miserable that I would, asking friends and thinking about what else could I possibly do besides teaching. It just becomes your who you are,
mhm.
and I
Yeah.
really believed I was like, I can't do anything but this, and taking that leap and leaving was such an eye opener. I mean, I'm like, yeah, I could do
What
anything.
can't I
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I don't know.
told
I
him,
still feel, yeah, I continue to use, all of those teaching skills when I'm interacting with clients, or when I get to be creative and come up with, solutions for people. Um, so it's just really working out. I also had the added benefit of when I told my school that I was leaving, I still, my contract continued through the summer.
so we got to kind
Yeah.
of test it out
And
for a
so,
couple months.
yeah, and we had that little cushion, and
Yeah, so that was good. And I've always said too, like, I feel like you love balloons now. There was definitely a time when I was just doing it where you're like, I'll help and do whatever you want, but I won't blow up balloons. He didn't like how they smelled.
right, yeah.
He was like, you smell like balloons. I was like, this is, but I think you're past that. But even still, I said, even if this is just to open up your like mind and life to something else that's gonna come along, like you don't have to see yourself doing this in this capacity for the rest of your life. Like this is just our chance to be together
Right.
and go for like a family business. Like that was always my dream. I was always selling like beaded bracelets and stationery out of my basement as a kid, and like I feel like this was always my dream. So I think it's worth the shot.
So are you thinking eventually you would like to go full time, or you like your job right now, so there's no reason to make that call?
Yeah, it's so hard to say because I love my job. It's so creative. I work from home. So even before the pandemic, I've been working from home since 2008, not
11.
10, 2010,
Yeah.
right when I was pregnant
Oh,
with.
wow.
And so, I mean, you can't ask for a better gig, like creativity, flexibility, appreciated at home. So I don't foresee that happening unless we decide we just want to like grow this bananas and go in some other directions that we've kind of like been dreaming about, maybe like party places or
Oh,
brick
okay, cool.
or something. But like for now, I really like how it's working. It's like pretty seamless. But I guess my advice is just it's easy to say just go for it. And we definitely had a month, November, which I wasn't aware like November could be really bad for people. Like, I don't know. I just didn't pay attention the previous year. So
Sure.
when November hit after having like a record October, a record summer, I was like, oh my God, what did we do? Like, how do we sell our house real quick?
Yeah.
How do we pay but then it all
That's how I was in January. I was like, "Am I out of business? Like,
came over.
should I close?"
Right.
How many times do I tell you? Like every other day, I would be like, "No increase. Business is over. It's done."
I know. I know. We're like our own worst enemies. I feel like my brain will sabotage me so quickly. I'll be like on the top of the world, and then like one day later I'm just like, I'm failing at everything. This
Yep.
is so bad.
Yep.
Elizabeth is, I feel terrible for her because she always has that stress of, oh my God, if this doesn't work out, like it almost, I think that you feel like you're not providing or you're failing us somehow. Whereas my mindset is just that I'm so grateful to be doing
Yeah.
this now, that I'm like, I'm not even afraid of failure because it's better than what I
Was.
had before. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, let's take a quick break and then I want to jump into your roles in the business, like how that works, who does what, and how often you fight. Because if it were me and my husband, it would be like World War III every day. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
I hear you. I hear you. You've been providing decor to parties and weddings, and now it's time to break into that more lucrative, higher value business and corporate client, right? And it's a struggle, right? Did you know that most corporate planners find their balloon decor companies on Google? And they're going to look specifically at your reviews and your website to decide whether or not to work with you? Hi, I'm Jeff at Balloon Suite, and if you want to get your website to the point where a business client, a corporate client is going to find you and want to work with you, I would love to have my team help. You can send me a text or give me a call at 206-488-1871, or you can check out our plans and pricing at balloonsuite.com/pricing.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the day-to-day. Who does what? Is someone in charge of the creative and someone is more techie? Do you all do everything? Like, what's your breakdown of responsibilities? I think that's extra challenging when you're working with a spouse.
Yes.
So I remember the day that I was sitting, in our teacher's lounge and casually telling my friends, that, I think I'm going to leave. I think I'm going to join my wife in this business. And I remember my friend sitting across from me who just, without even looking up at me, said, I could never work with you. And they love each other. They're great. They've been together for a year. And right then it hit me, and I was like, we must have something special because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
I mean, you quit the first day we worked together.
that wasn't the first day. And I've only quit once. Yeah,
It was only once. He's like, you know what? I'm done.
but
All right, but wait, not to go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm not exaggerating. We fight every day, all day. It's not a.
But we are weirdos. So, like, background, we're high school sweethearts. So we've been together since 9th and 10th grade.
Yeah, so we don't know any better.
We don't know what life could be. So
Right.
So we went to college together, and anytime we've done something crazy, people around us have been like, okay, that's insane. Why are you buying a car together? You're not even married.
Yeah.
Why are you getting a cat? It's going to ruin your life. Why are you getting a dog? Why are you doing this? And every time it works out. So I feel like, I don't know, we're just a good team. That doesn't mean we don't fight. I just think we bring out the best in each other. And
starting off, like, to actually answer your
yes,
question.
let's
here.
answer the question.
So starting off, my original role that I had in my head was, I will literally do anything that you need for us to keep this thing going and to keep growing it. So I don't care what it is that I'm doing. And it even came down to, like, I remember selling her on the idea of me leaving teaching and being like, do you realize that with me just being home, all of the things that I could take care of in the house that you couldn't, and, helping with the kids and whatever. So it was like, again, I just wanted to be this purely supportive role. So if she needed me to go inflate a bunch of stuff, I would do it, or build something or whatever. Elizabeth is definitely still the majority leadership of the business. No doubt about it. I don't take inquiries or phone calls.
I'm the one who slides into DMs on
Yeah,
a regular basis.
I don't know. I still don't know how to use Canva. So my creativeness comes from, she'll agree to do something for a client. She'll come up with something, and then she'll come to me and be like, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, okay, well, let's think. Let's try this, that, and the other.
You're like his official title that we put on your business cards was like lead fabricator. And I feel like
so you're like in there doing production. You're not like
he
in the
does
back, 'cause
he builds the best balloon mosaic shells, like, so perfectly and quickly, because he's just like meticulous like that. So you're my secret weapon with those.
That's amazing. I made one yesterday, and every time I make one, I'm like, why do I forget how hard these are? Like, I texted Lily and I was like, I have a new appreciation for your attention to detail. Like, I can't freaking make one of these to save my life. I'm so I'm just sloppy. I'm not that detail oriented person.
That's a big source of our conflict daily, though, by the way, is that I appreciate you saying those kind of things about me building the mosaics.
Yeah.
So I have a box where I keep all of my tools to do that kind of stuff. And the rule is now that Elizabeth is not allowed anywhere near that box. If she's out of tape, she has to go get herself new tape. She can't take my tape. Because, she'd be like, I need you to build X, Y, and Z in this short amount of time. And I'd go to my toolbox and my razors are missing. And there's
full of goo.
And full of tape goo. And
I'm a mess, and I don't take care of tools.
And I didn't realize
Same. If you worked with me, you'd open your toolbox and it would be empty.
But I also, it's really like holding a mirror to my face as well, because I didn't realize what I don't know, like what a nut job I am about how particular I have to be about things. And it's hilarious to me now, because that's how my dad was when I was a kid growing up. Elizabeth teases me all the time because I literally wasn't allowed to cut our grass or anything, because like I couldn't do the lines straight enough, or my dad thought I was going to chop my foot off, or so, I don't know, but that's how I am now.
Yeah.
Did either of your moms sew? My mom always had these sewing scissors, and it was like she'd like write on them with Sharpie, like only for fabric, like don't use on paper. And then I'd always take them and like chop up paper, and she'd be so mad. The sewing scissors. Ugh.
Oh no, yeah, my mom to this day, like, I think I've taken 10 staplers of hers. She just quietly buys a new one. And like she lives with us, so I'll just
Your
like go,
mom lives with you?
yes, she does. Which is
Wow.
also like a whole nother layer to how everything is amazing, because if we need to go on a job together, like, I mean, my kids are old enough to like not need like to actually be taken care of, but there's someone here with them, which is
Yeah, as
Sure.
long as it's not a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Friday.
my
Yeah.
mom has an amazing social calendar.
You, would, you wouldn't believe the social life
More than us.
of this woman.
But another way we divide up work too, wouldn't you say, is like, since I still work most like normal business hours during the week, anything during the day on the week is him. And yeah, just like being my person, like when I feel like I dug myself in a hole too deep and like said, yeah, I could totally make that. And then I'm like, wait, Adam, how do we make this? And he's like my
Yeah.
second brain to figure it out.
I, again, with how particular I am, I realized that I'm also, I don't want to say negative. I mean, who would want to say that about themselves? But I'm definitely always like,
Pointing out what problems could arise.
You're a realist.
every single step along the way, I'm like, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And I realize now that's obviously how I was with my poor principal at my school and stuff.
And I'm just like, shut up, we're gonna figure it out.
Right.
Because someone paid us $1,000.
But also, it's like we don't just stick to those roles. We flip flop all the
Mhm.
time. When Elizabeth is flipping out and we're never going to be able to do this, how are we going to do it? And I'm like, just relax. We could do it. It'll be this easy. We can.
Yeah.
So somehow we find that way to be the opposite for each other when the other one needs it.
Speaking of which, I wanted to point out, right when we announced that you were leaving your job, we did like a silly reel, because that's like our
Oh my
favorite.
gosh, that's how I knew you left your job. That reel was amazing, and you were such a good sport about it. I don't think my husband.
Yeah. He's the one who comes to me. He's like, I want to do this, and I'm like, okay.
I couldn't pay my husband to star in a reel. He'd be like, "No, I don't even know what you're asking me to do."
That's why I loved teaching so much.
Yes.
Is that it was I don't know, I feel like I just always wanted to be an entertainer. So whether I'm good at it or not, I just loved getting up in front of a crowd every day and performing. And that was also one of the reasons why I had to leave. COVID had changed things so much in education that it went from, I mean, every teacher, think about it, they teach you classroom management in college to teach you how to prepare for how do you get a class under control? How do you keep their attention? And when COVID hit and all of the physical barriers went up, right? First, we were all away from each other. Then we came back to the classroom. We had physical barriers in front of us, masks on. We had laptops in front of our faces. And that interaction went away.
Yeah,
Hey, everybody, how you doing today? Crickets.
yeah.
No, it was like getting up on stage if you were a comedian and bombing every single show, every single day. And even when the physical barriers went away,
Kids had kind of like retreated.
it
into
never
their
went.
sense
It never
themselves.
went away. The hood,
Yeah, I noticed that too, even at our college, and
face,
It's
just
a
a
college.
huge just a huge like culture shift. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how it's gonna I don't know how we get that back, but it's
Mhm.
really hard for I think students too, but I can't imagine teachers.
Yeah.
So when we did that reel, though, Tiffany from Confetti Castle reached out and like sent me a voice message right away and said, just keep in mind, like, she's like, your roles will shift. And like, just because one person isn't doing actual business stuff doesn't mean as a whole it's not working. So like that made me think a lot about how a lot of times you're just like picking up all of the balls I drop all over the house all day long. Like
Yeah.
pickups for the kids and drop-offs and practices and cleaning and dinner. And like, so when I'm doing stuff in the not daytime hours, like working all night on a balloon thing, I know everything is taken care of at home. Like, and not
And I-
like tell him everything to do and he does it. Just it's fine. Whatever's happening there is fine. I'm just gonna go to the shop.
I feel like that's so similar to me and my husband. Like he works part-time, so he's home, well he was home a lot more than I was when I was still working. But yeah, he did the lunches, the pickups, the loading the dishwasher, getting dinner ready. But like all of that counts just as much. Like when it's your small business, everything's your responsibility. There is no work and home. Like it's all the same. So to me,
Right.
that type of stuff is just as important as business type of stuff. And almost more so because that's what really impacts me. Like I feel really frustrated when like there's clutter and everything's dirty and I didn't do the laundry, and like having that stuff taken care of is just as important
Yes.
as having my balloon shop organized or whatever, you know?
Your like brain and like heart to think of like your next amazing idea, you know, because
Right.
you're not stressed out all the time.
Well, and before I joined you full time, I thought that I was pulling my weight and doing all of those things. And it wasn't until I stopped, working out of the home and started being here that I realized I wasn't.
Aw, you did plenty, but I know what you mean.
Well,
It's easy when you're not, even when I used to work not from home, when I would not think of, like, you wouldn't look at your dirty house all day. You would be in an
Right.
office, but when you're in it, you're constantly thinking about everything that needs to get done. So you can't fault yourself for not thinking of that when you were gone all day. I mean, it's working out, and hopefully it keeps, but he did quit our first big install. There was a moment where you said, I'm done. And I said, you can't quit.
You're like, sorry, man, this is your problem now.
I think you said something to me like, well, what are you going to do for money? And I was like, what are you going to do for
Yeah,
money? I'm not working. I'm just going to.
He's like, I'm just going to quit and you're going to just do everything. I'm
Yeah.
like,
For me, it's always New Year's Eve where I'm really stressed out and I'll like snap at my husband and he'll be like, don't yell at me. Like he's just doing nothing wrong. And I'm like, why would you do it that way?
That was us trying to manage our first balloon drop net.
Oh, we did it. So you were totally my inspiration when you did that episode about, how once you get it down, you can just boom, 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 get them in. And we got a last minute call for one, like literally 2 days before, from a restaurant who said, my guys forgot to order a balloon drop. And I would not have had the confidence had I not just listened to your episode. I'm like, I think we can do it. And what
Good.
typical Adam fashion?
Yeah, I was
You're like, how the hell are we going to?
Yeah. Well, and so as soon as we got the thing, I made sure that we, laid it out in the shop, and I'm like staring at it, trying to figure out how it works, and made us hang it up and
We tested it
pull
all
the
out.
string and make sure we.
Mhm.
But yeah, every step of the way. That's probably, if you can use a soundbite, would just me
Being
going,
like,
yeah, hon,
yeah.
how are we,
Yeah. And I'm like, chill.
Elizabeth?
It's fine.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Joe and having a party, I have to say, like, overnighted us the net. And I was like, okay, we can handle this. But you best believe I'm gonna have to like market that earlier next year because it was
Yeah. They are kind of addicting. Once you get the hang of them, you're like, oh, this feels like free money. But speaking of Joe having a party, perfect transition. Let's take a little break. We'll hear from a sponsor. It's gonna be having a party. And then I want to talk about your space because I feel like you have achieved what a lot of people work for, which is leaving a job, getting a van, and having a space. Those are kind of like the big three. So let's talk about those when we get back. Well, you just heard it from Extra Betty herself. Our friends over at Having a Party Wholesale always go the extra mile to make sure that we have the tools we need to succeed as balloon professionals. They have all of the newest trending colors by every brand, and they make sure that we have the supplies for all of our upcoming jobs. So if you haven't shopped at Having a Party Wholesale before, make sure to check them out at havingaparty.com. And when you check out, use the code BRIGHTBALLOON to save an additional 5% on your entire order. Thank you to the whole family over at Having a Party. We love you. Thank you for everything you do. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about your beautiful new workspace. Tell us about where it is, like what it is, how you found it, and what pushed you to the point to actually move out of your home.
Just like with everything, it was okay, well, why not? Let's try it and figure it out. We're really lucky. Like I said, we are not in like a large metropolitan area. We're in a very like a township. So not even a city.
Yeah, it's
so
like rural.
Yes. So we literally found a friend of mine actually had a store in there, and she's like, there's an open space next door. Go check it out. It's literally $600 a month, including utilities. It's incredible. And it's not giant. It's, I think, 600 square feet, and it's separated into like 3 spaces. So it's not ideal. But at the time, I was working out of the basement. We have a very sheddy dog. And so
little
even
white
tiny
eyelash
white
hairs.
So even
in
just walking up and down the
everything.
stairs to work, no matter how clean I kept it, by the time I was installing, I was spending like 10 minutes with sticky stuff, like getting everything off. It just wasn't working. Some things we were building by then that were so big, we couldn't get them out of the basement. You know, we would have to like build in little pieces. And then,
And if I could also correct you for how clean you kept it, the basement was an absolute disaster. You couldn't even walk in it.
okay, that's true.
And we're talking like over 1,000 square feet of space,
Yeah.
and you couldn't move.
You
in
couldn't.
it.
It was
So,
bad. So this just popped up and we went to look at it, and it's so funny. If there's like any inspirational tidbits from our story, I feel like this is it. Is like Adam is obsessed with bikes and wishes we lived in Amsterdam or somewhere in Europe where we could bike everywhere.
yeah, bicycles, by the way, not
Yeah, not motorcycles. Sorry, bicycles.
my hog. Yeah.
And you would always be like, I wish I could ride my bike to work. And so forever you were like, I guess I have to change where I work. I have to change where we live to do that.
Right. Yeah. I was like, we need to move closer to my school.
So
and
that I
what it-
can
yeah,
do that. And really what we did was move his work
closer to my
closer
house.
to our house. So like our shop is a 1-minute car ride,
Okay.
minute walk,
A mile.
5-minute
Yeah.
bike from our house. And so now we ride bikes to work sometimes. Well, especially he does, because
Right, yeah.
he likes bicycling.
Elizabeth's
I don't.
terrified that I'm going to expose every time she misspeaks now. Honey, you ride your bike to the shop sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I'll
it's
stop.
funny because people will see him, like friends in the neighborhood, and they'll be like, Adam just looks so happy all the time. It makes me sick.
Yeah, I've
But I'm happy for you guys.
I have resting, joyful face now.
That's amazing. So do you go there every day? Do you have like actual work hours? Because it's not retail, right? No one's just
It's
like
just-
hopping in to order balloons.
Right. Although once in a while that's happened. So like we've been there on a late afternoon and someone will just pop up and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were open. And I'm like, well, do you want a couple helium balloons for $20? Here you go. But it's not a retail space. It's just a studio. And do you think we keep regular? I mean, every day someone is doing something there. It just depends on what day of the week it is.
Yeah, not regular hours, but we're there every day.
And
Yeah.
I do have a balloon fairy named Genevieve who has been with us since before the summer. So she has a key and she'll like go in and out and inflate
What
for
does
us.
she do?
She just inflates for us.
Okay.
She's-
Okay.
yeah, and well, she's also loves organizing. So she's definitely the one who comes up to me with like a bucket of like a McDonald's half-eaten burger and there's balloons and there's a pump and she's like, can I take care of this for you? And I'm like, yeah, totally. I'm
That's like
garbage.
my van. There's McDonald's garbage everywhere. There's like 14 random balloon pumps rolling around. Have you seen those really expensive, really cool box trucks that are like clear? Like,
Yes.
the back is like cut out. I'm like, if
Yeah,
you could only see what the inside of my truck looked like, it would.
No one would want
Like-
those balloons if that was me.
There's like
That's-
300 McCafe cups rolling around and like empty bags of flaming hot Cheetos. They'd be like,
Eddie.
"Excuse me, ma'am, get out of here with your van."
So yeah, we do have more, but it's been life changing. So obviously I didn't have a big chunk of change to make up for it with only being $600. I know people pay thousands and thousands for warehouse space, but it was one of those things, like you said, with the getting your van is like, once we did that, I just magically bigger things started coming.
Yes.
And now we outgrow that space regularly. Like
Right.
we'll be like, there's nowhere to move and where are we going to put the balloons?
Well, we realized right from the beginning, even when this was just you doing this very part-time, we realized that we didn't have the correct vehicle to bring stuff to clients. I literally had a pickup truck.
And I had a
right?
van.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we would
mhm.
we didn't have
Oh,
a
we
van
didn't
yet.
even have a minivan
We'd
yet.
throw
yeah.
a blanket over the balloons in the bed of the truck
With
and
the top
prayed
down.
and yeah,
With
it
the
was
top down. We didn't cause any
Yeah.
it was terrible.
danger.
So
Yeah.
so right away, and I was leasing that truck, and we were like, well, it's time for a new vehicle. What are we going to do? And so Elizabeth, kicking and screaming, didn't want a minivan, but I was like, we've got to get a minivan. So we did, and we got our used Odyssey. It has 100 and
yeah.
almost 70,000 miles on it now.
And we made that work for like
We made that work for a long time, and
a
then
year.
that got too small, and we were like, we have to do something else. And at that time, we only had the one vehicle. No.
Yeah, we were down to one, I
Yeah.
feel like.
And so we were like, we have to get one of these ProMasters or Ford, what are the Eco?
Yeah.
We have to do it.
And that's another thing we weren't ready for. So his brother sells used cars,
Yeah.
like buys and sells, and called us one day. We were at our daughter's 5th grade graduation and said, there's a Ram ProMaster. That's a Ram ProMaster for sale. Do you guys want it? But you have to tell me now because it's on the auction. And we're like, how much is this even going to cost? I don't even understand. And we just said yes.
Yeah. Well, good. That was a smart decision because I feel like even now people are still looking for them. They're so hard to find and they're so expensive. They hold their value really well. Like I swear I'll be able to sell mine for what I bought it for.
That's what it's like.
100,000 more miles on it, you know?
Yeah. It's comforting to me because I'll be like, well, this is like an asset we have that should everything go to crap, like we can sell this and like it's an investment. Like,
and it was the same thing, high miles, high payment, and we just had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
but isn't it amazing? It turned, for me, I remember realizing like, wait, it's turned every installation into basically a delivery. Like I used to inflate on site because I had a small car too. So I would spend like 3 hours inflating in a hotel ballroom to do like a column and an arch, you know? And now it's just like plunk, plunk, and you're just done and you can go on to the next one. So yeah, my van was definitely magical. And I definitely have a space too that is already too small, but it's attached to my house. So it's convenient.
I can't get any better than that. And that's like when we're thinking about changing spaces, I'm like, but it's amazing because I can just run to the shop in 30 seconds to meet someone for a pickup. So it's almost as good as having it in my home. It gives me the separation, but it's still like, if someone's like, I'm going to be late, it doesn't like ruin my day because I just go home until it's time to go back. And yeah, like another life-changing thing about our ProMasters that we can stack jobs now. It used to be before like, go do the job, then you have to come home and load up again because you don't have any more room. Go do a job. And now it could be like, I could go to 4 places in a day and it will all fit and be home like in a decent amount of time.
Also, by the way, we only have 2 vehicles, just like we've always had.
Betty Mobile is like our second
car. So like, we pick the kids up from school and what
they're not that into that.
My daughter says that kids tease her and like say that it's a kidnapping van and
does it have seats? Does it have seats in the back? Or just the 2 in the front?
Only one. It actually gets really rough sometimes. So like, well, you have to take this vehicle because I need this one. It's like a puzzle.
We still have a car seat. So that's a nightmare in a pinch, having to move the car seat into the van so I can do a pickup because mine actually has one bench seat behind the driver's seat. Because I was like, I have at the time a 1-year-old baby. I was like, there will be a time she has to ride in this thing. It has to have a seat in it. So I'm glad I got the bench seat, but it takes up room. As soon as she's a front seat passenger, that thing's getting ripped out.
Yeah. We have like an empty space between the 2 front seats that I really want to find like a retrofitted extra seat so that we can fit 3 across the front in a pinch too. That would be nice. But I mean, when the Betty Mobile rolls up to the elementary school pickup line, boom, 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 boom. I mean, Gwen thinks it's more cool.
I would think it's cool.
It just doesn't make any sense because out here, everybody has their own business, and it's like primarily construction and everything else. So everybody else is rolling up in
business cars.
Yeah, big vans and trucks and stuff. I'm like, what's
ours just has balloons on the side of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm getting mine wrapped. I'm in the process now. I haven't seen the artwork yet. I'm nervous, but I'm getting, because that was holding me back, was having my job, because I would load up balloons and then go to work and then usually do an install after, depending if, where it was. So I didn't want to be like double dipping and parking my big balloon mobile in our faculty lot and have people be, asking questions. So it's just white, but now I'm going to take the plunge and get it all wrapped. So I'm sure my daughter will be mortified soon.
So good. I love a wrapped. Anytime anyone posts their van wrap, I'm like salivating. I love it.
I know. Me too. It's total like balloon business owner porn. You're like, let me see your van.
So what was it? A week, a couple of weeks after we got the van?
This will show you what it's like to be together doing a business. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, again, we bought the van used, and I spent, a whole weekend washing it and waxing it, making it look.
And we had the decals all put on it. Which it's not a full wrap, but it
Yeah,
was still
yeah.
like
And then we had the-
$900 or something
Yeah.
like that.
so we had the decals put on it, and the very next job was at a country club with a low awning that I didn't even think about. Drove right under the awning, dented and scratched the whole top of the van.
Scraped the top.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah. It had to go through insurance. We were using a rental van for a month. Even with our insurance, it cost us almost $2,000. And the only thing that I could think of, or that we probably both thought of, was, well, it was a good thing I did that.
Thank God.
Because-
Because when he did it, all I said was, it's okay. It's okay. Everything is
It is
fine.
a learning curve. I did the same thing. You don't even think about what's over your head, and all of a sudden you're driving around. I still don't know how tall mine is. So when they're like clearance and it says the height,
Yeah.
I would just kind of like cross my fingers.
I'm like, fool me once.
We don't go near awnings anymore.
No.
We park and we walk.
Or we'll get to, there'll be like a 50-foot awning, and Elizabeth's like, are
Can
you
we-
sure we can make? I'm like, Elizabeth!
My van story. I was in a shopping mall, but the way it's built, it's basically to get out, you almost have to like go down a ramp through like a little parking garage.
Okay.
So again, didn't think about it. I'm going down this ramp, going, and it's like Alice in Wonderland. It was like the walls were closing in. I was like, this is getting like pretty narrow and pretty
Yeah.
short. So I finally get to the bottom and I like stopped and got out. I'm like, there's no way I can clear this. And there happened to be two girls there and they were like, do not go any further. Like, there's no way you can clear this. But in the meantime, like 3 cars had pulled up behind me down this one way. So we all had to like back all the way out. And then they like stopped me before I was leaving. They were like, ma'am, we saw you on the security footage. Did you hit anything? And I was like, nope. And just like drove away, which I hope I didn't. But you just don't know when you get the van for the first time. But now I do. I know which McDonald's I can fit in and which ones I can't to do the drive-through.
Any McDonald's near me. I always have to park. And one time I got there too early. They were about to open. So it was just me like waiting outside the door of McDonald's for them to open.
In your kidnapper van.
That's whenever we have jobs downtown Cleveland, getting into
which isn't even the busiest downtown.
getting into parking garages and stuff is always a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't get into a parking garage. That's why. So last week I talked to Jam, who's in New York, and I was like, literally, how do you do anything in the city? Like, I wouldn't even try. And he basically said Manhattan's a nightmare and none of them like it, but I can't imagine that. I hate going into the city with my van. It's so stressful.
Wait, so is yours, do you also have a high top van like we do, or is it?
Mine is a medium top.
Oh,
So it's tall. Like I can fit a column standing up.
Yeah.
And I can stand up, but I think my husband would have to slouch. But I know with the transit vans, there's like the regular, which is like a regular van. And then there's the medium and then there's the super high. And I have the in between.
Oh, okay.
So I fit a lot of places, but not all places.
Another thing as a couple working together is one of Adam's pet peeves is once we get a job done, we'll be downtown in our giant van and I'll be like, let's find
Someplace.
somewhere cute to eat. And he's like, where do you suggest we park?
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's so hard. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Anyone who's listening, who's on the fence about a van,
Do it.
It brings in magical big jobs. I don't know what it is, but it's like you fill it the moment you have it. And someone told me that. I was like, you're crazy. And then it literally happened. So you just start selling bigger stuff, I think.
And here is a tip. Whenever we're doing a delivery, like we have this local like fancy bowling alley where we were doing kids parties, we always park our van right in front. And so I swear we watched all the people come into the party and look at, what's this? What's Extra Betty? And I swear we got like 5 followers. We were like, oh, what is this? And just park it where people see it when you're working, because
I think that's a great tip.
Places, are throwing parties and going to parties. Like they want to see it.
I remember this from a really long time ago. This was probably, 5 years ago. I used to listen to this podcast, and the woman there said when she was starting her business, she would just on her lunch break go and eat her lunch in her wrapped car, but like park it in a rich neighborhood. She would just sit there and do like busy work because it was advertising to her ideal client. I'm like, that's so smart. I would have not thought of that.
Yeah. I love it because I also just don't feel creepy when I'm like slowly going around a neighborhood trying to find a house. I'm like, everyone knows why I'm here. It's fine.
The other day I was sent on a delivery and the map told me to go to the wrong house
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find an address. And so I literally pulled up to 3 houses knocking on the door and made people think that they were getting, I'm like, is this 70 Westchester? And they're like, I wish it was. No.
You're like, these balloons aren't for you. Goodbye.
He like disappointed 3 people in a day.
And honestly, the whole time I felt like, some poor old woman's going to answer the door thinking that this is all a ruse to rob her or something.
Or win the publisher's clearance.
You look very trusting. I don't get robber vibes from you.
No, I think it would be fine.
Despite the van with the balloons all over it and me with a giant bouquet of helium balloons, but I still felt like bad. I'm not trying to creep you out. But the reason I said that was because somebody wound up taking a video of me driving past their house and posted it like, spotted Extra Betty in the wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that too. I just feel like a straight up stalker because I feel like I've seen every single thing that you're referencing because you guys kind of kill it on social media. Like you're good. You're all over all the trends and all the cute reels and you do things that other people don't do, which I think is good right now. Because it's not hard to see a trend and then do that trend. I feel like you guys kind of make your own
thank
stuff. You know, does that make sense? I don't think I'm saying it the right way, but like your first day of your first day of your new job reel, that was so cute, and like all the stuff you do seems really thoughtful and planned out, and you're just killing it.
Good ones up here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stay tuned, everybody.
More coming.
We just need to find the time. That's the thing.
That's awesome.
It's a busy day, and he'll be like, "I have this idea for a reel," and I'm like, "No, we have to actually do balloons.
We have to make money."
It all comes from real life. That one that I made about how I feel when I'm driving the Betty Mobile versus how I feel when I'm out of the van making a delivery is absolutely every single time I'm driving that van.
Well, let's tell people where they can find all these. What is your Instagram handle?
Sure. We're at Extra Betty. Easy peasy.
And you have lots of goodies on there. So plug those as well because you came out of the gate quick in terms of teaching and educating and selling tutorials. Why did you decide to do that? And also, what do you have available for us to buy?
So I just think it's really fun. I'm a big believer, like for a long time, I was like, what do you have to teach anybody? But then, I mean, you can only get so many questions from other people. And you're like, okay, maybe I do have something that I can teach. So I'm by no means an expert, but I think I have some ways of doing things that are helpful. I have a freestanding garland tutorial up on our website. There's like a For Balloon Pros thing you can click on. I love those. It started out as something I did for Having a Party's Teachable Moments, but then everyone was messaging me saying like, where is it? Or still asking questions. Even I'd be like, it's free. Go find it on their page. So I was like, well, I'll just record one and people, if they want to own it and have it on their computer, then they can buy it.
And how much is that tutorial?
That is $75.
Okay, and so if you sell one, you'll make your money back.
And I love them because, and I just do them for indoors on the Target lampstand. So it's like, on a good day, it's a $5 cost, maybe 10. I leave them. Like, it's what I suggest to any like corporate clients who maybe want a garland, but like there's a small window or maybe they're far away or I can't fit them in otherwise. I'm like, well, how about a freestanding garland? Like, it's right up there with like a crazy tower to me as far as sellability goes.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway. And you know what? I just did one yesterday accidentally on the fly. And I thought of you for like the alphabet, the marquee letters, because I find those very challenging to install on. Like they're not as sturdy as you think they're going to be. The balloons want to flop forward or flop back. I think it's hard to get that height. So I got my own set of marquee numbers and I used your technique to do the garland like up one side and kind of over one of the numbers. And it was literally like set up the numbers and plunk down the garland. And that's what I'm going to do forever now. Like it's perfect.
Oh, that's amazing. And honestly, not even an app, like that's a genius application for it because you're right. Like I know that my friends at Alphalet here are like, you can do command hooks, but like try to use the ones that are already there. So it's like, it's hard. And yeah, it's always going to the back. So it's like makes a solid base, even if you build on it. I love them. I love them next to candy carts. I love them next to doorways. I do a lot of them for businesses that are having anniversaries because usually they don't have like a budget for like a $350 install, which is kind of my minimum. So I'll just be like, well, for $175, like I'll come and plunk it down and enjoy.
Yeah. I'm gonna add that to my standard menu of things to offer, just like all the garlands, and because people don't think about the installation process, and they're just like, here's where I want it, and it's just a solid drywalled
Right.
flat wall. I'm like, there's nothing to attach it to, and they're like, well, no hooks. I'm like, did you think it was gonna float? Like, what is not? I don't understand.
Yes.
So it's a great, it's a perfect kind of strategy, I think, to have in your toolkit, that freestanding garland. And just the name of it is so clear and easy to communicate to a client, which I think is really important too.
Yes. Yes. They're like, I want that, and you're set. Easy peasy.
Well, great. Well, we will link in the show notes where everyone's listening. We will tell them to go follow you, to look for your tutorials, to see you guys grow. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, it will have already happened once this airs, but there should be a balloon marquee class for purchase also on my website then. But other than that, just thank you for putting up with our goofy selves on the internet.
No, I love it. Congratulations, Adam. That is a big leap you took. How long? I don't know if I even asked. How long ago was it that you left your job? Beginning of this school year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This is my first year out of the classroom in 16 years.
Well, and if you count like the time you were in the classroom, it's like your life. It's like your first September where you didn't go to school ever.
Yes. You didn't have that dread over the summer of it was time to go back.
Oh my gosh, I used to get that Sunday nights, like Sunday mornings, I would start dreading Mondays. And then, like August would come and I'd only have like a month left and I felt like I was going to die. I knew it was time to go. There was some writing on the wall on that one.
Every year we'd be like, oh, we're going back on the 13th now.
Yeah, every year we get earlier.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, good. Well, now you have your freedom and you can just ride your bicycle around town with your permanent smile on your face.
Big, dumb, happy smile, yeah. Alyssa's worried about the bills, and I'm like,
no, everything's fine.
Everything's wonderful.
Yeah. No, you guys are awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was so fun. Congratulations. I'm just blown away by both of you and can't wait to see your next steps.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group where I release an additional episode every single week and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.